Hi my dear students, welcome to my biology class. Today we are going to learn a wonderful topic in genetics. Have you ever seen a chart like this? It is a pedigree chart which is used in pedigree analysis. Today's topic is pedigree analysis. Now let's learn about pedigree analysis in detail. So topic pedigree analysis. Then the name of the chart is pedigree chart. Pedigree chart. The word pedigree is originated from Anglo-Norman French. It means that crane's foot. The word pedigree means that crane's foot. Actually, pedigree is the recorded ancestry of a family. Recorded ancestry of a family. The word pedigree is used to represent the successive generations in the family. Then what is pedigree chart? Pedigree chart is a record of descent over generation in which the number of offsprings and transmission of important traits or diseases are given graphically or as a family tree. Here you can look at the diagram. It looks like a family tree. So pedigree chart looks like a family tree which is used in pedigree analysis. Then what is pedigree analysis? So pedigree analysis is the analytical study of the inheritance pattern of a trait or a disease in a particular family by analyzing the family members in successive generation. So pedigree analysis is highly useful to study the inheritance pattern of certain very dreadful genetic disorders like hemophilia, sickle cell anemia, cystic fibrosis and so on. To study the inheritance pattern of traits, certain symbols are used in pedigree chart. Now let's familiarize certain symbols that are commonly used in pedigree chart. Then all of you look at the chart now. Here you can see certain circles, then squares and rhombus, and some are shaded or some are solid structures. So now let's familiarize what are they, then what do they represent. So here the circle represents the female in the family. So female, and the square represents male. As the circle is solid, it is affected female. So affected female. So here the normal male, unaffected male. These two are parents in the family. So it represents the first generation. First generation. Okay, then these two parents have 1, 2, 3, 4 children. 4 children. Then the first one is a girl. The second one is boy. Third also boy. Fourth is a daughter. Here out of these 4 children, then first one and third one are unaffected, while the second and fourth are affected. That means one boy and girl are affected. So this represents the second generation. Okay, in the second generation there are 4 members in this family. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, how these parents are connected to these children? See, the parents are connected by a horizontal line. Then it particular horizontal line represents the normal mating of a family. Suppose this is a normal mating. So normal female and normal male. So it shows normal mating. So mating can be represented by using a horizontal line in between the male and the female. So the parents and the children are connected by a vertical line. Here the parents are above, the children are below. So here there are 4 children. So parents with the children. can be represented like this. The horizontal and a vertical line. Then here you can see one female, the first child got married with a man. So here you can see two horizontal lines. That two horizontal lines represent the mating of relatives, a specific type of mating, that is consanguineous mating. Okay, close relatives mating is known as consanguineous. Consanguineous mating. Here that is consanguineous mating. So by this mating they could produce 3 children. 1, 2, 3. 3 children. Out of these 3 children, the first one is a girl. The second one is represented as a rhombus. It is the sex unspecified. Sex unspecified. The third one is a boy. Okay, here you look at this girl is married a man from another family, and they have 3 children. 3 children. So here 4, 5, 6. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. They are in the third generation of this particular family. Okay, again you look at this diagram. The first member of this family, the female of this family, got married a normal man. They got 2 children, one boy and one girl, but these are connected in a specific way. These are non-identical twins. So, this represents non-identical twins. Okay, here you look at the diagram. See, the girl, this particular female, got married a normal man. Then they got 2 female children. But these are connected by horizontal line that shows the identical twins in that family. So this particular symbol shows identical. This horizontal line represent the identical twins. Identical twins. 2 girl children. Here the parents and these are children. Identical twins. Here the parents, 2 children, male and female, non-identical twins. In some cases, that here I have told you that those solid structures, the shaded symbols represent the affected individuals. If the circle or square are shaded like this, affected persons. So look at the second generation. How many are unaffected? Out of these 4, first one and third one, total 2 out of 4. 2 are unaffected. So it is represented as 2 unaffected members in the family. Unaffected members. In some situations the family members may die because of particular genetic disorder. That can be represented by using a diagonal over the circle or the square. That means it represents the death of that female or death of the male in that particular family. Okay. In some other cases, in the case of heterozygous condition of the gene, half solid portion can be seen. Half solid square and half solid circle also. It represents a heterogeneous individual for a recessive trait. So they can be represented as carriers. So the disease or trait may not be expressed in the body, but that can be carried by those persons, but they are shown as normal people in the family tree, in the pedigree chart. So these are some common symbols that are used in the pedigree chart to make the pedigree analysis very easy. Before we begin with the pedigree analysis and the pedigree chart, we must know which are the different types of genetic disorders that are commonly observed in human beings. The genetic disorders can be occurred due to the genetic mutation, that means a gene mutation or chromosomal mutations. Now let's understand which are the different types of genetic traits or genetic disorders can be seen in human beings. Those traits can be categorized as 5. They are autosomal dominant trait, autosomal recessive trait, third one sex-linked dominant, fourth one sex-linked recessive, sex-linked or X-linked dominant, fourth one sex-linked recessive, fifth one Y-linked. Then what is meant by autosomal dominant trait? The trait is controlled by a pair of dominant alleles that are located in the autosomes, not in the sex chromosome. Suppose this is second pair of chromosome in human body, second pair. So this is a homologous pair of chromosome. Suppose these dominant genes are located over here. Suppose A, let us give a letter for this, 2 dominant alleles. So this represents the pair of homozygous alleles, dominant alleles. That alleles are responsible for autosomal dominant trait. That means if there is a mutation in this particular genes, cause autosomal dominant trait in that particular person. So that is autosomal dominant trait. Then what is autosomal recessive? Suppose another chromosome pair. If both recessive alleles are present in a particular gene loci in the homologous chromosome, that recessive allelic pair is responsible for that particular autosomal recessive trait or disorder in that person. Okay, then sex-linked dominant means this is a X chromosome. The allele that is responsible for the disease is located only in the X chromosome, so that it is known as sex-linked or X-linked disorder. Sex-linked dominant means the dominant allele is responsible for that particular sex-linked disorder or a trait. Suppose this is capital H for a dominant allele. Mutation of this dominant allele may cause the dominant sex-linked disorder in that person. Next is sex-linked recessive means it is also present in the X chromosome. The recessive allele is present in the X chromosome. The recessive allele can be represented by using a small h. So, because of the mutation of the recessive allele, the recessive character or a sex-linked character is appeared in the person. So, next one Y-linked. Suppose Y chromosome. If the gene is present here, it causes the Y-linked inheritance. So, Y-linked inheritance means Y-linked traits means the traits that is controlled by the genes that are present in the Y chromosome. Then I have told you that traits are of different types. So how would you find out the pattern of inheritance? By observing a pedigree charts like this? Suppose if you get pedigree charts like this, how would you find out whether they are autosomal dominant, recessive, or sex-linked dominant or recessive? I will tell you how to find out the inheritance pattern or the type of inheritance by using certain clues. Then you look at the diagram. Here you can see pedigree chart A and B. In the pedigree chart A, you can see the parents, the first generation, second one, here third one. Here the mother is affected, father is unaffected. They have 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4 children. In the second generation there are 4 children. In the third generation 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 children. So mother is affected here. In the second generation, one son and daughter are affected, 2 children are affected. In the third generation only one is affected. You look at the next chart, pedigree chart. Here the parents are normal, unaffected individuals. So here this is first generation, this is second generation, then third one. Okay, here how many children they have? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, then out of 5, 2 are affected. 1 boy and girl are affected. In the third generation only 1 boy is affected. I will talk to you about certain clues to find out whether the trait is autosomal or sex-linked. First of all, let's think some facts on autosomal dominant trait. Here write autosomal dominant trait. This type of traits will be observed in all generation. That means they do not skip in generation. Did you get it? So here you observe the chart. See, all generation have one affected individual. So the first point in autosomal dominant trait, don't skip generation. Okay, the next clue is that the affected parents can have unaffected children. Here you look at the diagram, the parent is affected, the mother is affected. Here they have 4 children, so 2 are affected, 2 are unaffected. That means the affected parents will have unaffected children. Affected parents can have unaffected children. Okay, that's about the clue on autosomal dominant trait. The next category is autosomal recessive. Autosomal recessive trait. You look at here in the second diagram, the parents are unaffected. So the unaffected parents have affected children, both affected and unaffected children. Here the first clue is that the unaffected parents or carrier parents can have affected children. Unaffected or carrier. Sometimes the carriers may not be represented in the pedigree, only they can be appeared as the normal individuals in the pedigree chart. So the unaffected or carrier parents can have affected children. Affected children. Then sometimes it skips the generation, but that means that it may not be present in one generation. It is not continuous. So the next clue, it skips generation. Skips generation. So that's about autosomal recessive trait. So these two are example of, first one is for autosomal dominant, the second one is autosomal recessive. Here the autosomal dominant trait means, first of all you have to look at the diagram that whether the trait is present, whether the particular disease is present in all generation. If it is present in both boys and girls, it is surely autosomal. Then affected parents can have unaffected children. Affected parent can have unaffected children. Here unaffected children and also affected children. So both are here. So we can make sure that it's an autosomal dominant. In the case of autosomal recessive, here unaffected parents or carrier parents can have affected children, and it may skip the generation. It is not seen here, but it is present here. It is also present here, but sometimes it may not be present in the next generation, so it skips the generation. So as the disease or trait occurs in both sexes, it is sure that it is an autosomal trait or a disease. The next one is X-linked dominant trait. X-linked dominant trait. In this case, no male to male transmission of traits. First clue, no male to male transmission. The second point, all daughters will have the trait. All daughters will have the trait. X-linked dominant trait means the dominant allele is present over the X chromosome. Suppose this is the X chromosome. Suppose a capital H represents the dominant allele. It is present over the X chromosome. Okay, then in a female, it is one pair of X chromosome. Males have XY pattern of sex chromosome. When an X carrying ovum, suppose an X carrying ovum is fused with another X carrying sperm, the child will be a girl. Okay, here if the parents have dominant alleles in them, that means the X carrying the X chromosome has the dominant allele. So for both will have the genes. So they contribute those dominant genes to the girls. That's why all daughters will have the trait. No male to male transmission. Why? Because the males have because males are able to produce two types of sperms, X carrying and Y carrying. If a Y carrying sperm is fused with X carrying ovum, the child will get only one X and Y. Then next one, X-linked recessive. X-linked recessive means both two X chromosome must have two recessive alleles. Suppose these two are two recessive alleles. The two X chromosome must show these two alleles. The mutation of these alleles may cause the X-linked recessive disorder. In the case of fertilization in human beings, if an X carrying ovum fuses with the X carrying sperm, the child will be here ovum and sperm. The child will be a girl. Here, if they contribute the recessive allele to the child will be having a recessive trait. So the child get two the recessive allele, then the child is diseased or the child will get a particular trait. The first clue is that males show more X-linked recessive disorders or traits than the females. Males have more chances. Males have more chances because males have XY pattern of sex chromosome. As they possess single X chromosome, even in the presence of a single recessive allele, that person will be affected by that particular trait or a disease. That is why males are more prone to this X-linked recessive disorder than the females. Most probably females can act as the carriers. In the case of females have a 2X chromosome. So if one X chromosome carry a recessive allele, the female does not express the trait or disease. The female acts as a carrier. But both alleles must be present in the both sex chromosome, then only the female express that particular trait or a disorder. This type of disorders or traits are rarely found in females, but these are mainly found in males, more found in males than females. The second clue is that then it is observed as the inheritance goes from father to daughter, mother to son. So the second clue, the inheritance from mother to son, father to daughter. Suppose if mother is a carrier, mother carrier, that means mother is having only a single recessive allele in her sex chromosome. Then father is an affected man with one allele. Next one is the Y chromosome. In this case, if this X chromosome of the ovum, that one ovum with the this single recessive allele is fused with the another X carrying sperm with the recessive allele, the child will be a girl and the child will be having the recessive trait or disorder. That means father to girl, father to daughter, mother to son. So these are the two clues that can be used to identify the trait is whether X-linked or not, X-linked recessive or not. Then the last one is Y-linked diseases. Y-linked diseases or traits are passed on from the father to son only, male to male transmission, because the genes that are responsible for the male characteristics are found only in the Y chromosome. So the father contribute all those genes to the son only, not to the daughter. So that is a specific nature of the Y-linked traits. So father to son only. So these are certain clues to understand the pattern of inheritance of traits or diseases in a particular family, whether they are autosomal dominant recessive or sex-linked dominant or recessive. Now let's study some examples of the different types of traits. First of all, autosomal dominant trait. Autosomal dominant trait. Example, dominant traits or diseases. Examples, myotonic dystrophy, then polycystic kidney disease, polycystic kidney disease, then Huntington disease, disease. These are some examples of autosomal dominant trait. Then autosomal recessive trait. Examples, phenylketonuria, or PKU, sickle cell anemia, and cystic fibrosis. Then X-linked dominant trait. Rett syndrome. X-linked recessive disorder, recessive trait or diseases, hemophilia, color blindness, color blindness, etc. Then Y-linked trait. That is TDF, testis determining factor. Testis determining factor or TDF. It is not a disease. All others are diseases or disorders, but TDF is not a disease. It is a factor that determines the development of testis in males. Y-linked diseases are very rare, but there are Y-linked traits. Suppose if you get a pedigree problem to solve, that means if you wanted to write the genotype of the family members that is given in the pedigree chart, then how would you write and how would you find out whether it is autosomal dominant trait or autosomal recessive trait, and X-linked or recessive or dominant? The clues that I have said before must be applied here to understand the type of inheritance. Thereafter we can write the genotype of the offsprings or the members in the family. First of all, let's guess what type of inheritance is, whether it is autosomal or sex-linked. See, look at here, as both sexes are affected in this case, it is definitely an autosomal disease or a trait. Here the parents are affected, one of the parents is affected, so that the affected that individuals will have a unaffected children. Here you can see both affected and unaffected children, 1 2 3 4, 2 are affected and 2 are unaffected. So which type of disorder is this? Autosomal dominant, and it is also found in all generations, so it doesn't skip any generation. So it is definitely, we can say that it is an autosomal dominant disorder or trait. Then how can we write the genotype of these traits? As it is dominant, the dominant condition could be homozygous or heterozygous condition. Any one of these condition can be present in the parental genotype. So let us find out the genotype of the parents and the children. As it is the dominant disorder, the affected mother, the affected female may have either homozygous dominant or heterozygous dominant. Now let's suppose a heterozygous dominant condition, a mother, then father, unaffected means definitely it is homozygous recessive father. So what are the possible genotype of these cross? There is a possibility of that getting the genotypes like this, that heterozygous A, again heterozygous A, then homozygous A, then homozygous A. 50% chance of getting heterozygous condition and 50% homozygous recessive. That means these unaffected children will have homozygous alleles. Okay, the affected children will have a heterozygous allele. Did you get it? So mother will have the heterozygous allele, father has a homozygous recessive allele. So when these type of parents are crossed, they would get two types of children. 50% affected children and 50% unaffected children. Here the mother is that heterozygous condition, father of course will be a homozygous recessive. So the child might have got this one. So that child is affected one. So this is the way we can easily understand. So we can easily guess the genotype of the individuals of the family. If we cross this homozygous dominant allele with a homozygous recessive, what is the possibility of the gene? Only one type of that genotype will be produced in the young ones. If it happens in this case, all children will be affected. But here, what is the condition in this family? Only 50% are affected, other 50% are unaffected. So the most suitable that combination is this one, heterozygous, one parent with the one homozygous parent, so that there is a chance of 50% affected and 50% unaffected children. So this is the way we have to use clues to find out the type of inheritance by using the pedigree symbols, and also apply the type of alleles, homozygous dominant or heterozygous or homozygous recessive alleles, to understand the genotype of the young ones in the successive generation. I hope you understood how to solve a pedigree chart or how to solve a pedigree problem. So with this I conclude my session. I hope you have understood what is the significance of pedigree analysis. It is highly important to understand the inheritance pattern of traits or disorders, especially in human beings. It helps to understand the effect of genes or the mutations of genes or the causes of genetic disorders in the living organism. And we have also learned about certain symbols that are commonly used in pedigree chart, and also how to solve a pedigree chart with the help of certain clues. I hope you understood the topic well. Then thank you and have nice moments.